Thank you guys for joining us today. Up here with us we have Mark Rushbrook, who's our Global Director of Ford Performance Motorsports, and then three of our drivers who are driving the Mustang GT4s this weekend. We have Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, and then joining us fresh to Ford Performance is Hailie Deegan. Mark, we'll go ahead and start with you. If you can just sort of talk about the benefits of these multi-series development programs that Ford looks into when they are recruiting drivers, and then how they go into bringing those drivers into the fold.
Yeah, just a quick comment first about IMSA and Mustang GT4s. We love IMSA, we love sports car racing, and we love the Mustang GT4 program that we've had the last couple of years, and great to see the cars out there on track. And what we do also use the programs for beyond sports car racing and trying to win those races and championships is to develop our drivers across a different series. So as you've seen, we've been here the last couple of years, and we bring some of our NASCAR drivers in to learn road course racing skills, to drive different cars, and also for team building across those drivers so they feel as if they're part of the Ford family. They are part of the Ford family. So it's a great time to come down here for the Roar for 3 days, and then for the race weekend in a couple weeks to develop skills, but also to use it for team building.
And then we'll go through our drivers real quick. Chase, you've driven for a few years now in Mustang GT4s as well as your duties on the NASCAR side. Can you talk about how the progress and development has been for you over the years of when you first came and raced your first IMSA race, and how that's helped you as a driver on the NASCAR side as well?
Yeah, I think, that's the unique thing that Ford has to offer is that, they can go and put you in the GT4 Mustang. And I know for me personally, I kind of struggled road racing before I came over here and did this stuff, and it was obviously a huge learning curve, and I felt like now, I can go to any road course and compete for wins. So I think just having that confidence from coming over here and racing, and just knowing, and getting to see some of these road courses for the first time, just getting laps and seat time, that's the biggest thing. And I know, where I was 3 years ago is where Hailie's at now, so it's kind of cool to come back full circle, and now I kind of know what I'm doing when I get here. But it's definitely, the unique thing I think that Ford has to offer is that, you can go drive different types of race cars, whether it's the GT4 stuff or the NASCAR stuff, or even going up to Dearborn to the training grounds.
And Austin, for you, you've been quite around the block as far as driving different Ford Performance vehicles, sort of a little bit of everything over the years. Can you talk about what the program's done for you and just the opportunity you've had to be able to drive the different vehicles?
Yeah, coming back to the Mission Pilot Challenge, it's kind of a homecoming for me because my relationship with Ford, the Ford Performance, and Multimatic all started here in 2015 at this race during this race weekend. So it's kind of crazy. It almost makes me feel that old. It's 5 years ago that it's been that long. But no, it's a lot of fun. I have a great relationship with the Multimatic guys, and obviously this car, I say it every time I drive it, and I say it because I mean it. Like, it is the most fun car. Like, it does everything you want it to do. I told her it's the easiest car you'll ever drive. Like, you're definitely spoiled when it comes to grip, when it comes to traction capabilities. But I love doing this race. It's obviously a great weekend. Having the Boy Scouts for the Roar and having obviously all the fanfare leading up to the Rolex 24. So I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been fun to watch Chase. Now I actually have to try and hold him off at the Xfinity races now. He's king of the road these days. So. But it's been fun to get to know these guys, and like Mark said, it's been cool to build camaraderie through all this stuff as well. I've got to know Chase and Cole a lot better the last 2 years doing this program, and obviously Hailie's now part of that program as well. So to kind of build that up, it just helps us on the NASCAR side more than you probably realize.
And then Hailie, for you, this has been a pretty big weekend for you overall. You're driving a car that you have no experience with, and it's different than most of the other stuff you've driven before, even with your varied background. You're new to the not just the team, but also to a new manufacturer, different ways of doing things. Can you just sort of talk about what the experience has been for you so far, getting to know the car, getting quicker in the car, having Chase as someone who also understands stock cars, being your teammate in the car, and just sort of your overall experience?
Yeah, it's been so much fun. It's been definitely a learning curve, and there's a lot more to learn for me. And I came from the dirt background, kind of where Chase came from, and so I'm not a road course racer, not a sports car racer, so it's all new to me. It's definitely a skill that I can get better at, and I'm looking to get better at because I know it's going to make me an all-around better driver. But you see how much it's helped both these guys and their road course racing. Whenever they go to the road courses and stock car racing, they absolutely kill everyone. So it's just going to be really fun being able to gain this experience and go from there.
And then, can you just talk a little bit about what it's been like joining with Ford, and just what it's been sort of like in the debriefs you've had with all the other drivers and just everything in sort of the community of Ford, what it's been so far?
Yeah, everyone's been super inviting, super welcoming, and making me feel at home, and making the transition really good, and keep me learning. It's definitely going to take some time for me to get used to all this sports car racing, but I think everyone at Ford has been super just good about making me feel at home, and that everything's the transition's been easy. And so I think that going from here, we're just going to develop a real relationship.
And then Mark, one more question for you. If there's anything you can think of that are your goals for these drivers this year and for the program, is there anything different this year, or is it more just business as usual and keep going?
Yeah, I think it's more of the same, just to see them continuing development. It's okay to make mistakes at this level, as long as you're learning from them and continuing to develop. And I think that's what we've seen the last couple of years. And for me, we definitely saw it last year. I remember at the start of the Xfinity Roval race, I don't remember the order, but it was Cole, Austin, Chase, or some order like that. We had 3 Fords in the race, and we were running 1, 2, 3 to start the race. There were a few things that happened in the race that we weren't able to win it. But to me, that was a telltale sign that it's working in terms of developing their skills on the track. And then also what I see off the track, as I mentioned before, the team building. When I see Austin walking down the grid and wishing Chase or Cole good luck before the start of our race, it's just a strong sign that even across different teams in NASCAR, the Ford family feeling is there, and they're helping each other out on the track as well.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If anyone has a question for Mark, I might lead with that. If anyone does, we have to get them to another appointment. No, we're all set there. All right, Mark, you're free to go if you need to. You'll hang around. Perfect. All right, if I have any questions for anyone else, start with Hailie in front.
There you go. There it comes.
Hi, Hailie Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service, and Hailie, I think probably a pretty obvious question, but just your general feeling, feedback, in the car, and how much road course racing of a background do you have, and what do you hope to get out of this race? What do you want to come away with?
Pretty much my road course background consists of Sonoma, and that's it. In the K&N car twice, and I think it's definitely, looking back at Sonoma, just the stuff I've learned these last 2 days, how much better I could have done there. And the last 2 days driving the GT4 has been so much fun, and I think that I am overly spoiled in it, and when I go back to the stock car, I'm going to have to almost unlearn a couple things that I learned here, just because it's going to be a lot harder to drive the stock car on road course, just because there's so many great qualities that the Mustang has. The traction control, just the amount of grip you have. It's so different from a stock car in that sense. So I think this is going to teach me a lot of good things, and a lot of things that I'm going to have to unspoil myself going back to the stock car.
Right over here.
Hi, Dylan Hopkins, Hometown News. Hailie, Chase, I know you two, if I'm not mistaken, have not gotten done the Rolex 24 entry yet. Hailie, I know this is like day 2 of sports cars for you, but is there a possibility that one of you two, would want to enter the Rolex 24 one year if given the opportunity?
Yeah, I think eventually, maybe if I got better at sports car racing on the road courses, that'd be a possibility, but as of now, I need some more experience.
Yeah, I would love to. Obviously the Ford GT needs to come back, but that would be something that I think, this race is such a big race. It's one of the most iconic races in the world. So I feel like, all I want to do is race and race in historic events and try to win big races. And it would be a very humbling thing for me specifically, growing up dirt racing. I would never think that I would run the 24 hours at Daytona. So it would be an awesome opportunity to have fun coming here and running the GT4, and hopefully the Ford GT will come back and maybe I can run it. That'd be awesome.
Other questions we have? Go right there, and I'll come back to Hailie.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question is for Austin. Austin, among the team, you have the most background in road racing, most familiar with this. What is your assessment of your new teammate and how she's doing so far?
It's been fun. Honestly, what Chase said was so accurate. The things that Chase had to learn which are mostly procedural with the car, the settings, you know, being able to review data, are all other things that Hailie's having to go through. And it's funny, I call it the second day syndrome. It's amazing how much time she picked up just, you know, having a good night's sleep. So I think she's really understanding what's making speed and why it is. You know, I think the last session was pretty showing of that. So it's been fun, and for me, I get to learn something every time. You know, I'm teamed up with Seth Prio, and obviously we had success in Road Atlanta together, but it's fun to kind of go through data again, and kind of, it's almost home for me to look at all these things, because I pick up stuff all the time, you know, looking at data, understanding what other guys are doing to make lap time, or why other guys are doing things to make lap time, and why they might not work. So I have fun with that. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to looking at data. If I had it every weekend in NASCAR, I'd be all over it. So, but it's definitely been a fun experience. I'd love to do it every year if I could. Yeah, it's just a different world for these guys, and obviously they're pros at what they do. They're obviously in the Ford family because they can make it happen on the racetrack. So it's fun to see them adapt pretty quickly to these scenarios.
This question's for Hailie. Hailie, what kind of questions are you asking your teammates? How has your simulation been, and do you feel like from day one to now you just continue making progress?
Yeah, me and Austin went on a track walk, like a 2-hour track walk, just going over everything, and I was like, after that, I felt like I already driven on the track. So I think as of now, it's just a lot of questions of breaking points, what they're doing through the corners, lines, those type of things. Even when I think I got it down, I come back and I ask like 5 more questions about what they're doing. So I think it's just going to take some more time and some more learning.
And back to Holly. Did we lose the mic?
Sorry. A little bit. Thanks, Tom.
For any of the three of you, how much, you know, we may think this watching you, but is it helpful to go on and get this extra racing time before the NASCAR season or ARCA season starts? I mean, is this really helpful to get on track, and how much do you get out of it like that?
I absolutely think so. I think anytime you can be in a race car, whether it's, you know, the GT4 or the Xfinity car, or, you know, even going dirt racing at the Chili Bowl, just getting to race. You know, the characteristics might be different, but it's still the same mentality, and just being, you know, I call it in racing shape. You know, you get to do it all the time. You know, I look back at the year before last year, and you know, when I was racing part-time in the Xfinity Series, it was so hard to beat those guys to do it week in and week out, just because they're so good at what they do and they're used to being in the race cars. So I think whether you're in, like I said earlier, a GT4 or the Xfinity car or whatever you're in, if you're just racing, it's better than sitting home on the couch. And, you know, I think, you know, regardless of how different these cars drive than a stock car or whatever, you know, just learning the road course mentality of how to set up passes and doing the braking and using the curbing to turn you, and just all those things is a huge help, especially whenever we go to stock car racing. I know on the road course stuff, you know, for example, we only have 4 races a year, so if we can come run one more, it's a huge benefit. And in the years past, I've ran, you know, 4 or 5, so it's a huge deal just to have that seat time.
It just helps my mental health. I can't stand not racing. I think the rest of these guys can probably relate to that, but it's a week that comes up really fast. You know, this Rolex 24 stuff, but I love it. I mean, I'd drive a race car every day of the week if I could. I'm sure these guys feel the same, but mental health wise, it's great to be back in a race car, and you know, I'm already ready to go Xfinity racing. You know, I'm excited to see what that year holds, but yeah, it's great to be back at the racetrack.
Yeah, I completely agree. As a racer, all you want to do is pretty much be in the car. Why you love racing is because you want to do it every single day. And so I think anytime, especially when you get in something you haven't done before, it just helps your skills all the way around.
All right, do we have any other questions from the audience? Nope. All right, Hailie, one final question for you. Did you, coming into this race, or before, as this was all coming together, did you ever think that your first time at Daytona would be on the road course instead of just on the oval?
Never. I never thought I was going to race the road course. First of all, at Daytona, so that was new for me, but I always thought my first time at Daytona would be in an ARCA car, but I'm happy to be here on the road course.
All right, thank you everyone.